Hey, guys, it's Kennedy, it's your girl Kennedy, a whole single on YouTube and on Facebook. It's just simply me, Kennedy. YouTube catching up. So we try, like again, I said I'm trying to do two devices because when I tried to stream from one device, I heard that my audio was not coming out clear. It was sounding muffled. So we trying to work it out. Anyway, good morning, and welcome to the Wednesday motivation. This is for everybody, all the God's cheering, and I just want to thank God first of all for giving me another day, just another day on this side, to be an encourager, to be an uplifter, to be one of His, just a child of God that has motivated me by all of the things that He's done in my life, the good and the bad and the ugly. Because there's been some ugly days, but right now we're going from great to greater, boo boo. And I'm just waiting on God to see what I mean. I'm talking about expectation. I'm like the kid at 11:49. Like, oh, we got 11 more minutes. Let's see, we used to open our presses at 12 o'clock midnight. We didn't have to wait till in the morning. In the morning came, we would still sleep at 6, 7 o'clock because we hadn't been up to 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning playing with our toys. But anyway, today, God gave me a show enough word. And as I'm getting ready to speak this word, I look out and then I see the red bird just going man in the tree. Stop it. And y'all know what people say about these red birds. And ever since I moved into this house, it was a big one that sits out in my back tree. And I see them all day, so I'm thinking they just real commonplace because it can't be that many people come check on me. And then again, but today it's really odd that he's just landed at that point or that my eye caught him at that minute because today I want to speak to the widows. I want to speak to those widows and widowers, those of us who have lost spouses because it hits us a little different. It hits us a little different because this came from I watch a lot of different podcasts and I listen to a lot of different platforms, you know, where people are getting together in singles and this and that and the other. And what I keep hearing from at least one or two, the lady she talks about being divorced when you're divorced. And not all of us are divorced. Some of us are widows or widowers, and believe it or not, it hits us differently. It hits us. We don't feel like we failed something and that we have to, that's where it differs for me. I don't feel like it didn't work out, and he did wrong or I did wrong or he did step out or I stepped out or we didn't get along because of this or that. It wasn't anything wrong. He fell off of a roof, hit his head, and died. So it's different. It's different than being in a relationship or being in a marriage with someone and over time you don't like him and he don't like you and y'all don't work on it, y'all don't go get no marriage count, y'all just eventually divorce. Or y'all been together for years and the kids got grown and you found out you really didn't have anything else in common but them kids. So then you divorce. Or whatever. When it comes to divorce, it's sort of like a death. It's a death in a relationship, but that those people move on. They're still on the earth, and you still see them. And sometimes that even hurt people worse. That they still see them over there being happy with somebody else, and so now you stuck over here trying to figure out how to get your happiness back, or whatever the case may be. But when you're a widow, it hits us a little different, at least for me, because I did my job. I held his hand to the end. The Bible says, till death do you part. You understand? Wasn't no divorce, wasn't no creeping, sneaking, tipping, wasn't no we didn't like each other. That was my friend. And that's even anyone in Fort Myers will know that came to his funeral. That's what hit me the hardest when I was at his funeral and I was saying my little poem or whatever. I was like, but that was my friend. That was my friend. That's what it was. That was my friend. Like we could sit. Your friend is a friend. You can sit in a room with, and y'all don't have to say nothing. I got sit sack with that. We sit around. We got to say nothing to each other. We watch a movie, you know. But my husband was my friend. Walter was my friend, and so when your friend goes to be with Jesus, how you gonna be mad at Jesus? How you gonna be upset with the Father? How you gonna be like God? Now you know that He ain't no helper you can cuss out. He ain't no biddy you can go look and peer at over your glasses. He ain't no this or that, no another dude that you like that Negro. He ain't no good. He ain't no better than me. You don't got none of them arguments. None. You're just like the word says, absent in the body is to be present with the Lord. So he gone on to glory. How can you be mad at that? You may be upset. Yeah, you hurt, your grief. You do get angry a little bit. But you resolve that he's with God. He's with Jesus. And that was Walter's favorite song. His hymn was What a Friend We Have in Jesus. So you move past the grief and the anger. It's stages to that. You're angry, then you're denying, then you come back to this, and then now and so acceptance, and so now you moved on, and now you're at a place in life, because like I said, it is 2000, it's 2020, it's 2026, so it's been 12 years since Walker passed away, and I'm still Benjamin, and I don't know how long I'll be Benjamin, but I've had to accept. I had to finally come to the acceptation. Hey, look at these words. I've had to finally come to accept that I may at one day not be Benjamin anymore. I've held fast. I held that name with pride. I'm from 4 Miles, where Benjamin means something. You understand? That's Dick's wife. Boom. That's all you need to know is that's Dick's wife. That means don't touch her. Don't talk to her out the way. Don't go to her. That I held that. I still that's Reverend Benjamin. That's Miss Benjamin. That's Dick's wife. That can't. Well, that I held that with pride. I hold that name with such pride because of who he was. But that's just the word, who he was. He is no more. And like them 3 pieces of chicken, he would want it fresh. He would want me to move on to fresh and new and be happy in my life. And sometimes we plant trees, y'all. We plant trees that don't produce no fruit. I was washing dishes, right? And I was looking out at my backyard and I was thinking to myself, you know, it's really, the guy has, came and he did the grass and raked everything up, and all the little tree limbs up fell through the storms and all that, and it's clear. And there's this one tree that's in the middle of the yard. And I didn't plant the tree, I didn't build a house. So I'm thinking to myself, because I'm like, self, anyway, I had trimmed that tree after I moved in this house, and I had, cleaned around it so to make sure that the roots, could get aeration and all that kind of stuff. Because I'm eager to know what it is. By the time I moved into this house, it was the end of summer. So I'm eager to see it's spring now. It's spring. The equinox was just turned. It was spring. So my eagerness, I'm looking at the tree like, I wonder what kind of tree it is. I wonder what kind of tree it is. I could have took my phone out there and Googled it and just took a picture and it told me but I'm waiting in expectation, just like I'm waiting on that husband to find me. I'm waiting to see what this tree, what kind, because, and as soon as I said that, the spirit said, because who would plant a tree in the middle of the yard that's not going to produce anything? What you say? Who would plant a tree in the middle of the yard that's not going to produce anything? Now, I'm from Florida. People have fruit trees in their yard. They plant trees that's going to produce. Some people like flowers and shrubs and so forth. Me, my taste, I like flowers. I'm scared of bees, but I like flowers. But if I'm going to plant hydrangeas and those type of things, they're going to be shrubs in the front where people will see them when they pass by. Oh, those are some beautiful hydrangeas. Not in the back, that only I and my family would be able to see. If I'm going to plant something in the bag, it's going to be just really for me, for us, something that's pleasing for us. And usually in Florida, people plant fruit trees. Miss Ludy was the lady that we grew up with, my mom grew up with. Y'all know Miss Ludy. And she used to play the piano, her and my grandma. And she had an avocado tree in her backyard. And every time I would go to, before I moved back to Florida, every time I would go to Florida, I got to go by Miss Ludy house and see if she got any avocados on that tree. In Florida, they got avocado trees. You got mangoes, a plethora. I mean, you got apple mangoes, turpentine mangoes. You got mangoes everywhere. If you want a mango, you walk down the street and it's somebody gonna have a mango tree in their yard. Or the tangerines. Walk there, cousin got a tangerine tree. Oranges. You can. I mean, there are fruit trees in almost every yard in Florida, and so I'm like, okay, well, the builders of this house spent a lot of money on this walnut tree that's in the front yard. That I'm talking about. Them, I'm just like walnuts. Y'all could have did something because they're walnuts. It's an expensive tree, very expensive tree, but it's so hard to get those walnuts out the shell. Oh my! It's not like a pecan. Pecans they come in the big green part, then it gets dry and it opens up like cotton. Then there's the pecan, and then it got another shell. You crack these walnuts. That first shell, I hit one with a hammer. I mean, I YouTube. I mean, how to open these things up, and I mean, they shell is hard. Like, why would you plant a? Some of y'all got to go through all this to eat. Anyway, what's on the tree in the bag? So I'm sitting there like, okay, well, it's spring, and we're gonna keep looking. And like I said, God said, who will plant a tree that's not gonna produce anything? Growing up, we had plum trees in the backyard. We had a huge pecan tree, and those in Jasper, y'all know we had a huge pecan tree in our backyard. Two plum trees, and I even planted a little watermelon right by because we had a little stream, little thing go through our backyard. Anyway, God's telling us as widows and widowers, stop planting things that's not gonna produce any fruit. Stop planting things that at least ain't even gonna bud a flower. Sometimes we plant memories. We plant things we used to do with him. We plant people that okay, this was him and this is where we sometimes those things not gonna produce anything but more grief. Sometimes you have to dig up some stuff to sometimes people like I'm going for this another license and I'm studying about adjusting crop insurance. Crop people have crops and they have insurance on the crops, and you have to, they have if something happened like in Florida, you have a big freeze or whatever. They have insurance that'll help them to get through the season, and so there's some things, some farmers that rotate crop. So this year they'll plant corn on the ground and then they might plant corn for 3 years and then they'll dig it up, till the ground, till the ground, till the ground. And then after the third or fourth year, they'll plant soybean going the other way. And this is how they may what they call rotate crop. They plant one thing one season, plant something else. And this is some kind of way that the things that fall off, nutrients fall into the dirt that's good for the other crop. Okay. So sometimes you have to dig up stuff that ain't gonna produce that next year, produce anything going forward, for some things to fall off that's gonna keep nutrient in the ground for the next thing to grow. So once don't plant something that They say after 3 years, the crop not gonna be too good, so they dig it up. So after so long, those memories, those things that you planted, those ideas of who he was and what you want and how this next one gotta be, or you're not, you gonna have to dig them up. You have to dig them. Now some of that stuff gonna fall out in the ground. Like I don't want to take out no trash. Yeah, I'm tired of taking out the trash, y'all. It's right out the door, folks. Steps. I washed my car. Said, Lord, do you understand? I ain't never washed the car. Walter washed that car. That car every Sunday we go to church. That car, them tires with them shoes was shined. You understand me? He done got up before me, walked the dog, got the dog fed, got the dog all together, and washed the car. Before I step out there in my pretty dress, as he would call it, your pretty dress. Some of them things I want to shake off in the ground now. I don't think I know trash. But and I'm just joking with it, but some things you do want them to fertilize it, and meaning keep that memory of that he was a good provider or he was a good friend, and let that fertilize the ground for the next one. Meaning when you go forth, you're looking for somebody that's a good provider, someone that's gonna be your friend, someone that's gonna hold your hand through sickness and health, somebody that's gonna. So those are things that you have to you let that stay and fertilize the ground. Meaning let those particular memories keep fertilization in your heart. That the next what but not just that. What did you do to encourage that person to be those things? What did you do to be a friend? So they tell me that to have a friend, you got to first show yourself friendly, you know. And so, what did you do to be his friend? Let those things fertilize your ground. Let those things fertilize your heart. That I'm looking for someone that's going to be my friend. I hear these people talk about, well, when they got divorced and how it hurt them. When they got divorced, how they and I tell you, it's different. It's different because wasn't no animosity, wasn't no build up to the end. It was just over, and I don't see him down the street with Annie Mae that told me all that she seen. I don't. He don't see me with with someone. He's gone, and he's not coming back either. See, sometimes they think if they move on and get somebody else, and this other person, see, sometimes they still play them games. Ain't nobody play no games. He gone. But I'm not planting dead trees either. I'm not planting trees that's not gonna produce anything. I'm not dating to have, to that's not gonna produce anything. Sometimes, us widows, we want it and we want it now. So you also got to remember how long it takes for a tree to produce some fruit. Fruit trees, they got to go years to get big enough to produce fruit. Then they start to bud. Then they may not produce fruit once they get to the age of maturity. So even in your dating, remember that you just planted a tree that you want to produce fruit, but it takes time for that tree to get to a stage where it will. But in the meantime, you have to cultivate it. You have to make sure you pull back stuff. Don't let the leaves fall on top of the ground where the roots are, because they still need air, and fertilizing it with friendship, and fertilizing it with figuring out what are your signals, what are your habits, what are your those kind. So we still have to cultivate that fruit tree to make sure that when it gets to the right stage, that it will produce fruit. But out here just willy walking, waking, dating, and being used and using, and all this ups and downs. And that's why I say tell somebody what you want from the beginning. look, I am a widow. I am waiting for my husband to come, for the next one. Because I'm not playing games. I'm not laying up with you. You're not going to have me look ashamed going to church in my mind, oh, Lord, and falling down. Lord, I have sinned. I'm not doing that. I can walk in my church with my head held high and know whatever I did Friday night, whatever I did Saturday night, it's pleasing to the Lord. And I come in here and say, hallelujah, thank you. You understand? So just remember, when you plant trees in dating as a widow, don't rush it because you're so used to having that husband. You're so used to him being this person for you. All right, because he's been there. You got and hey, that's why I say it's different than being divorced. Divorce, you some of them they talk like they just don't. They definitely don't want somebody like what they had. Why would you? If he cheated on you or beat you or tore you up or did stiff things to you, demeaned you and talked to you dirty and mad, nasty and all that, why would you? But if you had a real friend, a real friend, you looking for someone to be that to you. Don't rush it though. Don't rush it. Plant your tree to produce fruit. Cultivate it. But know the tree that you planted. Don't plant a tree that's not gonna produce fruit. If they tell you from the beginning they not looking for marriage, don't think you gonna change them. If they tell you they just want a friend, then just be their friend. Friends only go this far. Don't let them fool you. If they, let's get the expectations from the beginning with a woman with a word, so you don't get your feelings hurt because you're in a rush to get what you had. You're in a rush to be back in that marriage, that friendship, that cuddling, that going to the grocery store, that I ain't got to wash the car, take out the trash. You don't rush it. Cultivate the tree, or else you'll be disappointed when it don't produce any fruit. Make sure the tree that you plant, okay? And let's stop planting trees that's not gonna produce fruit, because we want it. We want an orange, but you planted a ficus. A ficus tree is not gonna ever give you an orange. Not ever, ever, unless Jesus come down and touch that tree and tell it, boom, just like he withered the fig tree. He can make a tree grow whatever he wanted to grow, but you can't. You buy a ficus, it's only gonna be a ficus. It's never gonna be a fruit tree. Okay? So widowers, let's not hurt ourselves. Okay? Let's not hurt yourself. But give yourself permission. Don't keep getting stuck in who that person was to you, so the point where you don't feel like I ain't gonna move on because it's never gonna be another him. You know what? I don't want another Walter. I really don't, because as much as he was my friend and as much as I loved him, guess what? It was some stuff that he did that used to get on my last nerve. He didn't get mad. He didn't fuss or fight at all. He get the dog and he say, "Well, Buster, I guess she mad at us." And Walter would leave and go and stay gone. Next thing you know, you waking up. Where Walter? Walter done went to his mama house because he ain't finna argue with you. And sometimes it's good because you got to get that, you need a cooling down period. But sometimes that even piss you off even worse. But we do have to give ourselves permission to move on because we want that person. And I'm telling you, it's hard. And like I tell people, when they talk about divorce is different. It is different to us widows because I held his hand till he took his last breath. I didn't sign no piece of paper and he walked away. That walking away, that abandoned feeling, that it didn't work, that disappointment. I don't have that. I stand up, stick my chest out. I did my job to death do us part. Anyway, Miss Fifi, we got some things to do. We gonna hang because we not gonna sit around here being death depressed and worried and waiting and all that. We gonna get us. They got the Jazz on 55th. We gonna go hit that spot and we're going to go in as the ladies of God as we are, and we're going to walk out as women of God, and we're going to see what's out there. And let us be seen. You understand? See if somebody going to plant some trees. We going to plant some trees. But anyway, I got to get on to the next thing. It's 9 o'clock, and I love you guys by the gallons. I tell you, I thank you so much for all of the support from my YouTube channel, A Whole Single, all my support from my friends on Facebook. You guys keep me motivated. You keep me going. You keep me, just loving who I am and loving the season that God brought me to. And so, anyway, I'm gonna get on out of here and clock in on me, folks. JOB. I love you guys by the gallons. Peace, love, and fish grease. What? Why fish grease? Like the word of God, because it's hot. Y'all be blessed.